Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Bybee, and it's my pleasure today to introduce this panel on judicial perspectives. We are pleased to have with us Mariano Germán Mejía, who is the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of the Dominican Republic, a position to which he was appointed in 2011. There is a more complete analysis of his biography in your materials, but it is sufficient for us to note not only his position on the court, but that he is a former Attorney General of the Dominican Republic and a professor of law. So we are pleased to have him with us. We are going to allow him to speak for a few minutes, and then I will field questions from you, and we'll go till about 5 o'clock. There are only 2 channels on in this room, as I understand it. So if you're listening in English, you want to be on channel 8. If you are in Spanish, you want to be in channel 30. Justice Germán.
Muy buenas tardes a todos, a todas. Quiero introducir esta conversación haciendo algunas aclaraciones. La primera es que aunque estoy en presencia no están funcionando los.
Where is English, Jay?
8. Channel 8 should be the English.
Oh, that one. All right. Okay, testing. Can you hear us? Good afternoon, everyone. As I was saying, I would like to begin this discussion with you by making a few explanations. The first one is that although I am among many people with a lot of knowledge, I feel that I'm with family. I feel I'm among family because we're brothers and sisters in belief, and secondly, because right here there's a reduced conglomerate. So that's the first explanation. The second one is that this discussion is first of all, the version of someone from the Dominican Republic. In other words, someone who has a particular vision which has been created based on the history, culture, law, and religion of his country, which is the Dominican Republic. This discussion is also the discussion of an attorney who practiced law in his country for more than 40 years, and who has his own vision of the matters that we will be discussing. And in recent years, he has been working as a Supreme Court justice. If a physician were to speak, it's possible that
se pareciera a la medicina.
we might get a medical vision here, but when a lawyer talks, then the vision
A la de un abogado.
looks like that of a lawyer.
República Dominicana
The Dominican Republic
parte
is
de una isla
part of an island,
dividida en dos.
divided in two parts.
Una se llama
One
República
is
Dominicana
called the Dominican Republic,
y la otra se
and
llama
the other one
República de Haití.
is called the Republic of Haiti.
Dos países
These are two countries
con dos historias,
with two different histories,
con dos culturas,
with two different cultures,
con creencias
with
diferentes.
different beliefs.
Y cuando digo cultura quiero
And when I say culture, I also want to say,
términos más sencillos,
to translate it into more simple terms,
actuar diariamente, que es
a daily way of living which is
a la forma de
very
actuar
different
los dominicanos.
from the way that the Dominicans live.
República Dominicana,
We in the Dominican Republic
48,000 kilómetros cuadrados.
cover an area of 48,000 square meters. Haiti is much smaller.
Entonces,
So,
mi conversación,
my
esa óptica va a versar
discussion will
con la visión
deal with
dominicana
the vision of two
de la
Dominicans
República Dominicana
from the
de juez
Dominican Republic,
y lo que yo
from a
entiendo,
judge, and from what I understand
la importancia que tiene
is-
el derecho,
is what
la
the
importancia
importance that law has,
la religión,
the importance of religion,
vínculos que unen
the links
religión y el
that
derecho,
join law and religion,
y cómo ellos pueden
and how they can
de
contribute
manera armónica
in a harmonious manner.
son manejados.
If they work in a harmonious way, then how they can be managed and how they can contribute to stability.
Cuando hablo de religión,
When I speak of religion,
me refiero específicamente
I am specifically referring to a group of beliefs, of standards and behavior, ceremonies, prayer, the sacrifice that people make,
de un determinado
and that belong to a particular
humano
human
que reconoce
group of humans who acknowledge the existence of a supreme being as deity.
el religioso es pues el que cree
Those who are religious, those who believe,
muchas veces, aunque no pueda ver,
though often they cannot see, believe
y tiene un comportamiento conforme a lo que cree.
and act in accordance with their belief
Sacrifica
and sacrifice themselves for what they believe
bien de los demás.
and for the good of others. And that's why they believe.
Reconoce que
Religious people acknowledge
superior,
that they come from a supreme being, and that that supreme being is who determines what humans are and what their final destiny is.
ningún otro animal
The-
tiene religión.
Religions of people, if we say that man belongs
Eso que llamamos
to
la
that,
religión. Solo es
religion
del hombre.
only comes after man.
La religión es del hombre.
Religion is of
No es
man.
posible
It is not
en quien
possible
no tienen una inteligencia definida. Ni
that
tienen
there's not
capacidad
a
de
definite
transformar
intelligence, nor
lo que saben, lo que aprenden, lo que saben,
what they learn and what they know, and the capacity of reasoning
dirigido hacia un creador
directed toward a creator
y en pos de lo que les rodean, que son
and for those who are around them, which are the rest of the humans. And
humanas,
all the religious associations,
igual que
all human associations,
desarrollo,
whatever their level of development is,
tienen una creencia,
have a belief.
tienen una religión.
They have a religion.
El derecho, por el contrario,
Law, on the other hand,
es un conjunto
is
de principios
a group of principles of laws, of standards, of rules
que regulan los comportamientos
that
humanos
govern human conduct
y que tienen carácter obligatorio.
and which have a mandatory nature. In my country,
Eso que se llama derecho
that which we call law
tiene una norma superior arriba
has a superior standard above, which is called constitution.
intermedio.
In between, there are the adherent laws,
Hacia abajo,
and farther below,
decretos, los reglamentos,
orders, rules, regulations, and so on and so on.
ahora,
Now,
todos los seres humanos
all humans
nacen en sociedad,
are born in society.
están destinados a vivir en sociedad,
We are destined to live in society.
sino dentro de una sociedad.
We cannot live but within a society.
En eso estoy de acuerdo con la teoría aristotélica.
And in this respect,
Sí, exactamente lo mismo.
I agree with Aristotle's theory. He said that in order for man to live without a society, he would have to be a god, or he would have to be a beast.
Pues, si tiene
Therefore,
sociedad,
man has to live in society. He cannot live outside of it. So if that's the case, what does he need? What does he need? He needs to have religion
dar unas normas de derecho.
and respect some rules.
Así pues, entonces, repito,
Therefore, I repeat,
la religión y el derecho son
religion and law
esencialmente necesarias
are essential
para que el hombre pueda vivir
for man to live in society
garantizarse.
and guarantee harmony.
Ahora bien,
Now,
la religión y el derecho
religion
son
and
sumamente
law
importantes.
are extremely important.
Vamos a decir que la religión,
Let's say that
conexión con el amor,
religion, because of its connection with love
la luz,
and with the light of faith,
se pone al servicio concreto de la justicia.
is at the service of justice.
Pone al servicio del derecho.
It is at the service of law, and it's at the service of peace.
Eso es esencial.
That is essential in all
La
religions.
religión permite valorar
Religion
la riqueza
allows
de las relaciones humanas.
for the richness of human relations to be valued, as well as the capacity of man as a spiritual being.
Como ser fiable,
And as a trustworthy
ser de
being
enriquecer la vida en común.
who can enrich common life with others. And that's only possible
Religión permite
for someone who is religious. Religion provides for security. Religion gives joy.
la religión conduce
Religion leads to justice.
religión conduce
Religion
a la administración de los actos.
leads to the proper administration of human acts. Religion leads to
Elimina
brotherhood, and religion enlightens and moderates conflicts. So here's the big question.
si esos son los comportamientos que el ser humano necesita.
If these are the behaviors that humans need and the satisfactions that are needed, then why not have a religion?
El derecho
Law
también estabilidad
also generates stability,
da en el conglomerado social.
stability
Impone orden
in a societal group, and creates order
el cambio
so that there can be
de cada sociedad.
change within each society. Law serves as the instrument for social development.
Solución social
Now, why the social development? Or in order for the social development to be organized, and so that both law and religion
se armonice de tal manera
can act in harmony in such a way that they can serve toward social stability.
de la cohesión social.
Law promotes
Seguridad,
and gives security
operaciones económicas,
in economic operations and in nature.
a dar a cada quien
Law
lo que le pertenece.
tells
Tanto ordena,
what belongs to each person, and that's what independence depends on.
puedo decir entonces,
And in this, then, I can say
todos esos
that in all these areas, it can be said that law and religion coexist.
pero
However, there are other elements
elementos comunes.
that also are common elements.
Derecho y religión
Both religion
son
and law
manifestaciones necesarias.
are necessary human manifestations.
Matrimonio
And their matrimony, the matrimony of law and religion, working in harmony,
como fruto un hijo.
gives the fruit of a child. And what's the name of that child? Social stability.
La religión y el derecho
Religion and law walk hand in hand toward freedom,
hacia la fraternidad,
toward brotherhood,
hacia la igualdad,
toward equality,
solidaridad,
toward solidarity,
y procuran siempre valor.
and always seek for higher values.
La religión y el derecho
Law and religion
conducen hacia los comportamientos,
lead toward ethical behavior, toward honesty,
hacia la rectitud,
toward righteousness,
hacia la equidad.
toward equality.
Un hombre, una mujer que cree
A man and a woman who believe in law and who have faith, I ask, can they be unjust? Never.
la religión y el derecho niegan la injusticia.
Law and religion
Violan la injusticia.
are against
Una sociedad
injustice, a society
regla de derecho
where the rules of law are kept and where faith is practiced
superior bueno tiene garantizada en todo.
in a superior being are guaranteed to have social stability.
La religión y el derecho
Law and religion
tienen valores comunes.
have common values.
¿Como cuál?
Which are these?
La
For example, service-mindedness, tolerance,
el interés por los demás,
interest in others, respect,
la lealtad,
loyalty,
la consideración,
consideration,
la independencia,
independence,
la responsabilidad por los actos libremente realizados,
accountability for acts carried out freely, responsibility, cooperation,
la prudencia.
work, prudence.
La religión y el derecho
Law and religion
procuran la paz
seek for peace
y de actos justos y contribuyen.
through just administration and through brotherhood.
En definitiva, diría yo,
Indeed, I would say
por sus particularidades,
that because of
los elementos
the way they are and their elements and common goals,
tanto la religión y el derecho
law as well as religion
deben
must be in brotherhood so that together,
padre y a su madre, que es la sociedad en general, expresarse
they can express to their father and mother, which is common society, so they can express themselves with integrity, with totality,
equilibrada, que solo puede
a
ser
balanced totality which can only
por la soñada poesía perfecta.
be overcome by the dream of her perfect poetry.
Como deben andar
And that is how, I repeat, that is how law and religion must exist.
oír
Who
poesía
would not want to hear
todos.
perfect poetry? We all would like that.
Todos queremos entonces,
We all, and so then we all want
o hermanadas, la religión
to see a fellowship between law and religion
de la estabilidad.
for whose good? For the good of social stability.
Yo vengo de la República Dominicana,
I come from the Dominican Republic. I was born
en un hogar cristiano católico.
in a Catholic Christian home.
Vi mi padre y mi madre asistir a misa.
I saw my father and mother attend Mass in a family of 10 siblings,
Quienes nunca ha habido entre quienes nunca
between whom there has
ni un no,
never been a yes or a no,
ni un fino, ni un sino,
nor has there ever been a but,
donde no ha habido divorcio,
where there has never been divorce,
separación,
separation,
nos tratamos permanentemente como hermanos.
and all of us always treat each other as brothers and sisters without any arguments.
Digo yo,
And so from that perspective is
se necesita
I say
religiosas
that religious families are needed
para que haya sociedades,
in order for there to be good societies.
que también se necesita
Although
un país organizado
we also need a country that is organized and where the rule of law is respected so that law and religion can complement one another.
¿Por qué República Dominicana?
Why the Dominican Republic? Why is the Dominican Republic
Compuesto
a country that is built up or structured
yo diría con
by
entes humanos
what I would call human entities that within themselves
presente una religión.
always have religion?
Yo diría que
I would say
si no hubiésemos tenido la historia que tenemos,
that had we not had the history that we have, we would still have religion.
pero ¿por qué tenemos entonces la religión cristiana?
But then why do we have the Christian religion?
Bueno,
Well,
nosotros hemos vivido tres etapas fundamentales en la
in the Dominican Republic, we have lived through three basic phases.
en que el territorio estaba
The phase when the territory was inhabited by Indians.
un país dividido,
The,
raza taína,
there was the Taínian Indians, and it was divided. There were 5 of them
María en Maguana,
by the names of
Güey,
María, Marguana, Güey, y Aragua.
eran practicantes del
They practiced polytheism.
1492.
1492, the Spaniards came,
A una segunda etapa,
and we went into the second phase,
a una segunda etapa, la conquista y la colonización.
which was the conquest and colonization.
Llega la religión cristiana.
And with that came the Christian religion, the Catholic religion.
Durante el
And then,
1492,
from 1492 to 1884 was when
permanente acercamiento
we had this whole permanent
vida de la religión cristiana.
introduction of the Christian religion.
Por eso cuando hacemos
And that is why
la independencia
when we became independent
en la primera constitución,
in the first constitution,
pasamos lo que se
in the
llama
first constitution,
la republicana.
we went through what is called the Republican phase. In the first constitution, in 1884,
Se declara entonces la religión católica
was when the Catholic religion was declared state religion.
primera constitución.
The first constitution.
Hemos tenido
We have had
31 modificaciones constitucionales
31 constitutional amendments.
y en todas esas
And
modificaciones
in all of these constitutional modifications,
de alguna manera
there have,
se mantiene presente.
in some way or other, Christianity is kept intact.
Voy a desarrollarlo un momentito.
I will explain more about this in a
Las
moment.
constituciones de 1844 hasta 1858
In the constitutions from 1844 to 58,
expresamente
it says expressly that Catholicism is state religion. In the constitutions from 1866,
se reconocen otros
65, and 66, other religions are introduced, but it is established that they can only,
los cultos no católicos
it also says that non-Catholic religions can only be practiced within their respective church buildings. Again, that was in 1865 and 66. And the Constitution of 1872 was when
Se dice que es la religión católica.
the Catholic religion was again established as state religion. And that provision, I repeat, in 1872 until 1907, it was kept exactly the same. In 1907, in the Constitution of that date, held that the state guaranteed religious freedom. However, it also says that the state, inasmuch as the state shall maintain its relationship with the Catholic Church. And that's what it says in the 1907 Constitution. And so it guaranteed religious freedom, the freedom of worship and of conscience, and that way, and this is very precise, listen, in the 1924 Constitution and in the Constitutions from 1927, 1929, 1934, 1947, 1955, 1957, 1959, 1963, 1968, 1994, 2010, and 2015.
Una constitución que es la de
What is so specific in a Constitution of 1966 which says that the state guarantees freedom of conscience and worship subject to morals, public order, and public order. We in the Dominican Republic have always respected three constitutions, basically. One, the ones from 1844, the second constitution, the more advanced one, the Constitution from 1963. And the third constitution, a little bit less, but we still respect it, is the one from 1966, which remained valid until 1994. Then after that, the most advanced constitution that we've ever had is the 2010 Constitution. In all of these constitutions guarantee freedom of conscience and freedom of worship, with respect to public order and good customs. And the only thing was the only one that added morals was the Constitution from 1963.
Dos puntualizaciones.
Now, I'd like to point out two things before we move on within this topic.
En la República Dominicana
In the Dominican Republic,
son realidades hoy día no controvertidas.
there are nowadays realities that are not controverted. Number one, these are undisputed truths. No non-Christian religion has been professed publicly by any Dominican. Listen to this, okay? No non-Christian religion has been publicly professed by any Dominican. If they have it, then they keep it to themselves. But they do not practice it in public. Number two, among the Dominican Christians, there's respect and consideration which is undisputed.
Cristiano no católico o de-
Whether they're non-Catholic Christians or some other
Nadie discute eso.
group,
Ni nadie
no one argues this. No one even
se juntan y
go-
comen
holds up their hand against each other. They get together, they eat together, they dance together. Men and women fall in love.
comparten sus creencias
They share their beliefs
y siguen iguales.
and they stay the same. And I think that deserves an award. I think that is a gift that God has given us.
En tercer lugar,
Number 3,
ningún dominicano se le ha ocurrido jamás
no Dominican
pegar a un hombre o a una mujer
no Dominican has it ever occurred
que sus mismas
to treat a man or a woman differently just because they don't profess their same religion. That never happens.
En cuarto lugar,
And number 4,
nadie discute el cristianismo
no one
como religión legítima.
disputes Christianity as a legitimate religion.
Aunque no visite la iglesia.
Christians are believers, even if they don't go to church, but they are believers.
Y aún aquellos que no son creyentes
And even those who are non-believers,
o que no dicen que son creyentes,
or who do not say that they're believers because they are,
solamente hay que acecharlo. Que le dé una fiebre. Que seguido dice,
you just have to discard them and say that they, or pray that they get a fever, or say, my God, heal me. Jesus Christ, heal me.
entonces, ¿creen o no creen?
So do they believe or do they not believe? They carry it within themselves. They have it inside themselves. And number 5,
Católica ha sido
the Catholic religion
y sigue siendo
has been and continues to be the predominant religion. That's the reality. And that
esto determinó
has determined
históricamente todos los
that historically
oficiales se recojan en los espacios oficiales.
that in all public spaces and in
Permítanme repetir
symbols that this is included.
los símbolos católicos.
This means that in all public spaces
Por ejemplo,
you will find Catholic symbols. For example,
la bandera nacional.
our national flag. The national flag of our country
Contiene inscripciones católicas y en el centro
has Catholic symbols, and in the middle it has an open Bible.
la Biblia.
The flag and an open Bible.
En el poder judicial,
In the judicial
sus sentencias
power, in the court decisions and court records and all
aparecen
decisions
con el escudo nacional.
include
El escudo nacional
the National Coat of Arms, and the National Coat of Arms includes the Bible.
en la sala de audiencia de los tribunales
In the courtrooms,
se coloca siempre la bandera. Ahí está,
the flag is always present, and there's the National Coat of Arms.
frente al juez.
And in front of the judge on the stand is a Christian cross.
Quiere decir entonces
This then means
una religión
that we have
cristiana
a Christian religion
legitimada por la práctica
which has been legitimized in practice and by history.
la práctica y la historicidad.
By practice and by history.
El segundo aspecto
The second aspect
poner de relieve
that I would also like to underline,
en el
or
1954
that I would like to put in relief, is that in
la-
1964,
el Estado Dominicano firmó un
the Dominican state signed a concordat with the Vatican state.
pero ese concordato
But that concordat
de ninguna manera conllevó
did not in
eliminar
any way lead to
de las constituciones respectivas de
eliminating
todo lo siguiente la libertad de conciencia de
the freedom of conscience and worship from any of the subsequent constitutions.
que hemos tenido muy
In other words,
con
We have had very good relationships with the Vatican State,
pero no hemos dejado de
but we have not
la libertad de conciencia y de culto.
set aside the freedom of conscience and religion. Therefore, I say that we have
¿Para qué
no reason at all
la religión cristiana
for the Christian religion to be the dominant religion, because historically there is
puede justificar otra cosa?
nothing else can be justified.
Y lo segundo es que tampoco se puede dejar
And
de pensar en la posibilidad,
we also cannot
de pensar en la posibilidad
we can also cannot think of the possibility
eliminar
of
las referencias
eliminating the references
a la religión
to religion
de derecho.
in legal texts.
Pero no solamente en República Dominicana, América Latina,
But not it's this
países de América Latina,
this is not only in the Dominican Republic or in Latin America that something similar to this
puedo citar por ejemplo
happens. I can cite, for example,
Bolivia.
the case of Bolivia.
Caso de Bolivia, la Constitución de 1967.
In the 1967 Bolivian Constitution, and also in Argentina, in the Constitution of 1994.
En el caso de Costa Rica,
In the case of Costa Rica,
el artículo 75 de su Constitución vigente.
in Article 75 of the current Constitution, and in El Salvador, in Article 25 of its Constitution, Articles 25 and 26, in the case of Panama,
Constitución de 1972,
in the 1972 Constitution,
78.
Constitution reformed in 1978. In the case of Peru, in Article 50 of its Constitution. In the case of Paraguay, in Article 82 of its Constitution.
Proclaman
All these constitutions proclaim the Catholic religion as the official state religion.
de manera pues que tenemos una
This means
coherencia,
that
una armonía
we
entre religión
have a harmony
y fundamentalmente católica
between
y derecho.
Christian, particularly the Catholic religion,
Esa es
and law.
la realidad.
And that is the reality.
Entonces, si eso es así,
Therefore, if this is how it is, when a judge
dominicano,
from the Dominican Republic
católico,
who is Catholic,
que le ha tocado vivir en una sociedad
and who has
con esas creencias,
lived in a society with those beliefs,
que viene de una familia
and who comes from a family that has those beliefs,
pudiera terminar con conclusiones
if he could end up
fueran diferentes
with conclusions that are different from what I just said, that just won't happen.
como juez
As a judge
de República Dominicana,
from the Dominican Republic,
reconozco
I acknowledge
que por las constituciones que
that
históricamente han regido en la
because of the
República Dominicana y en
constitutions
América Latina,
that historically have governed in the Dominican Republic
los territorios
and in Latin America
de República Dominicana y
and
América Latina,
and their territories
ninguna razón para no tener
have no reason
sus respectivas reglas de derecho
not
alusiones
to have references to Christian religion in their respective legal dispositions, legal provisions.
La estabilidad social
Social stability
debe ser garantizada
must be guaranteed
con reglas de derecho,
according to the rule of law,
con reglas,
but also with according to ethical rules,
morales,
with moral rules,
con preceptos religiosos.
with religious precepts.
La religión no deja de ser fundamental para el hombre.
Religion continues to be fundamental
Haya logrado
for man, even if man has made progress.
El hombre puede lograr
Man
muchos avances.
can achieve much progress
Un gran científico,
and can become a great scientist,
pero no tiene por qué romper con la religión.
but he has no reason to break from religion, because what is interesting is
Pueda
that
armonizar
man
los avances científicos
can create harmony between scientific progress
no son incompatibles.
and religious beliefs. They are not incompatible.
Los avances científicos
Scientific progress,
no niegan los avances científicos.
religion does not deny scientific progress.
Los avances científicos,
Scientific progress
el hombre debe buscar avanzar, avanzar y avanzar.
is something that man must try to keep advancing and keep advancing.
El hombre tiene que creer.
Yet he cannot stop believing. Man must believe.
El hombre tiene que creer.
Man has to believe.
En términos humorísticos,
And from a
yo
from a
en mis relaciones con mis colegas,
humorous standpoint, in my
el Palacio de
relationship with my colleagues in the
yo voy todos los días.
Supreme Court of Justice building, where I work every day, is right by the ocean.
Y yo me paro algunas veces por la ventana
Sometimes I stand by the window
y le digo a mi colega,
and I tell my colleague,
miren hacia allá.
I tell my colleagues, look out there.
Cuánta agua, cuánta agua.
There's so much water out there. And where does it all come from?
Y después le digo,
And then I tell them,
tanta agua.
and all that water,
¿Encima de qué está?
what is it on top of?
Encima de tierra.
It is on top of earth, rocks.
Esa tierra y esa.
But then that earth and that rock,
¿Encima de qué están?
what is that on top of?
Búsquenme la respuesta.
Find me an answer that will let me stop believing.
Silan. Esa es la realidad.
That's the reality.
El hombre, yo digo, nunca
I say that man
hará nunca la búsqueda de lo
will never seek for that,
nunca abandonará la búsqueda de lo trascendente.
for something else out there.
Lo busca en Cristo.
Christians look for it in Christ
Porque Cristo es lo trascendente. Y lo inmanente.
because Christ is what is transcendent for the Christian.
Lo religioso.
People of religion,
Constituido
that which is religious,
cultural.
cannot be substituted by that which is strictly cultural,
Porque las grandes trascendencias
because
no pueden perderse ni sustituirse.
the things that are great and that transcend cannot be substituted or replaced by small transcendent things. And that's my conviction. The great transcendent things cannot perish because of small temporary cultural trends.
El reconocimiento de una voluntad superior.
In recognition of a superior will that determines
Quiero decir,
all
ha estado
things
siempre presente.
and decides all things has always been present in humans.
Esa voluntad superior
That superior
se le llama Dios
being is called God
y se le ha dado un nombre propio.
and has been given his own name in each religion.
Abraham en el judaísmo,
In Judaism,
Cristo en el cristianismo,
Abraham,
Mahoma en
Christianity,
el cristianismo,
it was Christ. In Islam, it was Muhammad, in Confucianism, and so on.
podemos seguir. Con el hinduismo,
With Hinduism
cualquiera otra.
and with any other religion.
Y entonces yo me pregunto,
And so I ask myself, and I ask you,
¿podremos eliminar esas historias?
can we eliminate those histories
Eliminando, separando el derecho de la religión.
and separate law from religion and vice versa?
Y la respuesta no.
And the answer is no.
La religión no es extraña a la historia del hombre,
Religion is no stranger to man,
a sus leyes.
nor is it a stranger to his laws.
Dándose estas últimas basada en las
And
religiones
this is based on the religions and
influenciadas por ellas.
at other times influenced by them. It is the history,
La legitima,
it is history that legitimizes
fuerza y la que la hace.
and gives force and effect and makes it respectable.
La iglesia y el Estado,
Church and the state
extrañas.
are not institutions that are strangers to each other.
No siempre resulta fácil separar los
It is not always easy to separate church and
de los religiosos.
government acts from religious acts.
Indudablemente
However,
se influencian.
there is no doubt that they influence one another.
Amar a todos sin importar sus creencias.
Loving all people, regardless of their beliefs, is possible, even
Para algunos pensantes
if sometimes for some people it is not easy.
la creencia.
But love, regardless of belief, is always possible.
Para ello basta tener valores superiores.
That for that, all you need are superior values. For that,
La necesidad
all you need is to have in your conscience the need to help others. For that, all you need is a universal developed
desarrolla una lógica
logic,
universal,
and he
de alguna manera le toca
who develops universal logic will necessarily have to develop
las religiones de ayer
the need of love.
son las religiones
The
de
religions of yesterday are the religions of today,
religiones de,
and the religions
de hoy
of today
podrán seguir siendo.
can continue to be tomorrow's religions.
No es fácil.
Creating new gods is not easy.
No es fácil.
It is not easy to create new gods.
Si llegáramos a un laicismo universal,
If we
habremos llegado entonces
were to arrive to a universal secularism, we would then arrive to universal religion without God.
y vuelvo
That is my question, and I
si
repeat it.
llegáramos a un laicismo,
If we
habremos llegado a una religión universal.
arrived at a universal secularism, would we then arrive at a universal religion but without God?
Si todas las culturas contienen un
If
elemento en
all cultures have a common
esa
element,
creencia,
which is
existe un ser
the belief
o un evento
that
superior,
there is a superior being or event
podremos entonces
to worship,
construir una sociedad
could we then create a universal society without religion?
una
Can we create a worldwide society without
¿Podrá
religion?
permanecer el Estado ajeno a la religión?
Can the state
¿Podrá el Estado
be separate from religion?
hacer el Estado su trabajo?
Can the state do its job without the basic element that guides its acts, which is law?
¿Es posible un Estado sin derecho?
Is it possible to have a state without law?
Pero es posible también vivir.
It is,
¿Es posible entonces una sociedad sin religión?
but is it then possible to have a society without religion?
¿Es posible un Estado sin derecho?
If a society without law is not possible,
¿Será posible un Estado sin religión?
will it be possible to have a society without religion?
Por eso yo digo, o yo me pregunto,
That is why I say, or I ask myself,
laicidad
secularism,
no es acaso una ética,
is that not
no es
an ethic guideline?
la laicidad
Is
la
secularism
de la no religión.
not the religion of non-religion?
Es necesario que el Estado pueda normar siempre.
It is necessary
Es necesario
that the
que
state
el Estado
always be
pueda
able
ejercer
to create laws
derechos
and that it can always exercise rights above man. And it is necessary that man be entitled to influence the state. It is necessary that man be able to limit government.
en ese ir y venir,
In this coming and going,
un fenómeno como es el de la
one phenomenon, like belief in a superior being,
sea el nombre que se le dé,
whichever the name of that superior being may be,
estar ausente.
can never be absent.
No podrá estar ausente.
It can never be absent.
La religión es norma,
Religion
el derecho es norma.
is a norm,
La norma es
law is a norm, and norms are law.
la creación del mundo
The creation of the world
de todo y es
is for all,
para todos.
of all, and for
La
all.
función de la justicia aunada
The function of justice for nothing, with a conscience of faith and the fear of not believing in God,
es la ecuación y el temor
and the fear
de no creer en Dios
of not believing in God.
es la ecuación perfecta
That is the perfect
para una
equation
sociedad ideal.
for an ideal society.
Si la confianza en el derecho
If trust in law and faith in God
son valores positivos
are positive values,
y tienen tantos puntos coincidentes,
and if they have so many things in
jamás
common,
podrá el hombre
then man will
por imaginación
never
pretender separarlos.
be able to separate them,
Los aportes
not even in his imagination.
a los derechos, a la libertad, a la integridad, a la vida,
Christianity, in terms of
como en América,
both in America and in Europe, in terms of freedom, no one can ever deny those rights.
pretender separar
Trying to separate
al padre de los hijos
the father
no sería honrado.
from his children would not be a jury.
Religión y derecho son dos realidades
Law and religion are two realities that walk together, that go hand in hand. They have been married,
y las sociedades
and
donde se domiciliaron
the societies where they settled down, law and religion,
no está permitido el divorcio.
in those societies, divorce is not allowed,
Están obligadas a permanecer.
which means that they are obligated to remain married.
No procuremos, pues, jamás
So let us not ever
el derecho de la
seek to separate law from religion, but let us
para armonizarlos,
work toward harmonizing them,
acercarlos,
toward bringing them together,
sirvan para una sociedad mejor.
that both may serve a better society. Only harmonization will guarantee
La debida estabilidad social.
that we will have the social stability that we need. So let us work, I repeat,
Del derecho y la religión.
for the harmonization of law and religion in favor of a better world. Those are my beliefs, and thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you, Justice Germán. We're close to our time to stop, but I do want to give any of you who would like an opportunity to ask questions to do so. We could take just a couple of minutes to do that. And if not, we'll allow you to come up and talk to our speaker afterwards. Do we have any questions? Yes, Justice Davide.
Thank you very much. I have to ask the question because we have practically the same historical situation, Philippines and the Dominican Republic and also Bolivia and some other areas, because we were under Spain for almost 400 years, from 1565 all the way until the Treaty of Paris.
No oigo bien acá.
Canal 30.
Mira a ver cómo está.
Ahí está. Okay.
Yes.
No. Sí, escucho. Okay.
Okay. I have to ask this question because we have the Philippines and the Dominican Republic, Bolivia, and some other countries in the Latin America have the same historical foundation and basis in relation to the Catholic Church. As a matter of fact, before we were ceded, before the Philippines was ceded to the U.S. by the Treaty of Paris in 1898, we have a state religion, the Catholic religion, because we followed the provision of the Constitution of Spain of 18 something, where the Catholic Church was recognized as a state religion. Now, my question is, under the Spanish rule, under the Spanish Constitution, the Catholic Church was under the protection of the Spanish Penal Code, then in effect in the Philippines. And under that code, crimes against the state religion were imposed, and people were punished for violating these crimes against the state religion. I would like to know if in your country there are laws, special laws, which will punish the citizens for related to possible violation of the state religion. And the other question is, you mentioned that the Catholic Church is really until now recognized as a state religion. May I know why you mentioned earlier that you have some question about the concordat with the Vatican, that it may involve some violation of freedom of conscience and freedom of belief?
Nosotros tenemos un concordato.
We have a concordat,
En ese concordato
but in that concordat,
establecen sanciones
there are no sanctions for
que no sean
those who do things that are against the Catholic Church, of people's personal acts.
porque
Because
el Estado Dominicano siempre ha
the Dominican state is always considered
que respeto
or believed that respect
cristiano, respeto
for Christians and respect for religion,
cualquier tipo de respeto
but
es un problema de carácter religioso.
any type of respect is the problem of the religious person who does not have correspondence with the rule of law. So we haven't had any kind of problem of that nature,
Se ha presentado un caso
unless a case has never been presented in the Dominican Republic of that nature.
porque allá
Because
nadie en la República Dominicana
down there in the Dominican Republic,
los
no one
monumentos
profanes
los espacios
the monuments
propios de los religiosos.
or the spaces that belong to
No tenemos
religious groups. We have not had a single case of that.
decirse quizás
Perhaps
que alguien un
one might say that one of these days someone might
alguien se querella y diga se cometió
profane one of those places, and
una
one might say that
agresión al orden público.
public order was injured, that good customs were injured, or good morals were injured. But if that case went to court,
Ante la prescripción precisa de la ley
before
dominicana,
the precise
de que no hay crimen ni delito,
Dominican laws,
una ley previa,
that there are no
como
crimes without a prior law.
una ley que diga
So there's no law that says
que es sancionado como violación a la moral,
that
al
is
orden público, a la buena costumbre,
punishable. And so if it's against
acor-
and if it's goes against good morals, there's no sanction for that. Does that make sense?
Very good information.
Do we have another question? Yes, over here.
Durante la presentación se hablaba mucho de las
During the presentation, there was a lot of talk about the Christian churches and their protection. What's the situation of the non-Christian religions, like Muslims, Jews, and other religions that are not Christian? What is their legal status in the country?
la libertad de culto.
We have
La libertad de culto.
freedom of worship, the freedom of conscience.
Cualquier musulmán puede hacer su
Any Muslim can worship freely.
ya no hay absolutamente ningún problema.
There's absolutely no problem with that. However,
Y aquí, por ejemplo, está un
and
sacerdote.
here, for instance, we have a priest.
Yo por experiencia personal,
In my personal experience, I have never seen any Muslim religious group. Have you ever seen any? No. But I don't think
porque alguien haga un culto
that a Dominican Republic
el dominicano
would think himself any better just because there are Muslims. Dominicans are people who
carece de soberbia frente a eso que se llama creencia.
don't have any pride in terms of belief. And
Nosotros, los dominicanos,
I think that we, the Dominicans, are an advanced country.
somos un país avanzado.
We are an advanced country. No one becomes upset about what others might believe.
We'll take one last question. And if there isn't one from the floor, I'm going to exercise my authority as the moderator to ask a question that I have. So, Justice Germán, you spoke a great deal of the relationship between law and religion. Do non-believers represent a threat to that society? You have freedom of conscience.
Usted tiene libertad de adorar.
As between Christian religions and even between Christian religions and non-Christian religions, do people who are not religious represent a threat to the stability of the Dominican Republic?
Yo no creo en la religiosidad.
I don't believe in non-religiousness.
La religiosidad católica,
I admit that non-Catholic or other anti-religiousness, but irreligiousness or non-religiousness,
la entiendo
I
como dicen los matemáticos.
understand it like the mathematicians say. Non-religiousness could be equivalent to emptiness. Do you know what an emptiness is? Something that has nothing.
Eso sería equivalente a
So it would be equivalent, that would be equivalent to
si
non-religiousness.
a la religiosidad usted le pusiera algún contenido,
If you added some type of content to non-religiousness,
la religión de la no creencia.
then you could call it the religion of non-belief.
Pero sigue siendo en algo cree el hombre.
But it is still a belief of man. Look,
Si el hombre
if
no cree
man does not believe
viene de Dios,
that he comes from God,
que hay un ser superior,
that there is a supreme
un día
being,
a decir,
one day he would dare to say
vino, nació de una botellita de agua.
that he came from or was born out of a bottle of water. But he will still seek some kind of an explanation.
Esa es la realidad.
That's reality. He has to believe in something.
Vive sin creencia.
Man does not live without belief.
Y yo le decía a ustedes,
And that's what I was saying, telling you,
¿cuánto yo he visto?
when how many times have I not seen, why would I go to church? Who believes in that?
Déjalo que se enfermen. O que se le enferme un hijo.
Something causes them to get sick.
Que se le enferme un hijo.
Or if they don't get sick, then one of the children will get sick. But there is something superior. Is there anything superior to the love for a child? There's nothing above that.
Yo no creo que haya nada
I don't believe that there is anything
al amor por un hijo.
above love for a child.
Una madre
A mother
era un hijo que comete un crimen.
can see a child who commits a crime,
Ha dicho una mentira.
and the mother has never said
No la llamen a declarar.
a single lie.
No la llamen a declarar. Que no traiciona al hijo.
But she will never let down her son.
Dice que ella le pareció como que se parecía al hijo.
She will rather say that it looked like her son, but it was somebody else.
Porque la madre no traiciona.
Because a mother
Por eso,
will not
ante el hecho
betray her child. And so,
que no encuentra ningún tipo de razonamiento,
even if they can't find any reasoning,
¿a dónde va?
if we can't find any reasoning, where do we go? to belief, to faith.
Y entonces, ante la
And then,
del hecho riesgoso,
faced with the presence of the
los temblores y con
risky fact is when
el cuerpo,
shaking comes, and with this,
el corazón,
and that's when the fears of the heart come, and that's
los razonamientos, y se ponen a buscar el Dios
when people start reasoning and begin to seek God, He whom they never mentioned.
Puedo estar equivocado.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Yo puedo estar equivocado.
I could be wrong.
Porque ni siquiera cuando juzgo,
Because even when I judge and think that I have the absolute truth, I judge as a judge, I judge between two truths. The truth of the plaintiff and the truth of the defendant. And that third truth
pero el que
can
pierde
between one of the two.
mentira. Y el que gana dice que es verdad.
But he who loses says that it's a lie, and he who wins says it's true.
La realidad.
I know how to say réalité in French.
Justice, please join me in thanking Justice Germán one more time. Do we have one more question? I'm sorry, I didn't want to cut it off. There was another one. Yes.
No era una pregunta, sino para iluminar un poco la respuesta del magistrado Germán.
Oh, I just wanted to mention the answer by Judge Hernan. Once there was a professor at one of our universities.
Siempre ateo.
He was a communist and always claimed that he was an atheist. And once when we were in a meeting, but all of a sudden he says,
La oración.
"Father, say the prayer."
Yo le respondí, ¿usted cree?
And I said,
Claro que sí.
"Do you believe in God?" And he said, "Of course I do, but I can't do it in public."
Usted conoció
Father,
al dirigente
did you meet the Dora Cabral, the communist leader?
no fue siempre marxista,
Was she always?
no siempre fue
She was not always a Marxist.
el que iba por todos los sitios difundiendo las leyes fundamentales de la dialéctica y el marxismo.
She did not always go everywhere. Wasn't she? Did she not always go around professing Marxist principles? Yes.
En la iglesia, en la
Did she not go to a Catholic priest to
clínica
confess, or to the clinic
Independencia
that's on Independence Avenue?
de morir,
Did she not go there to confess before she died? Yes, she did.